Today we will discuss with each other the topic, the hidden face of the law of karma. Why do we raise this issue, the hidden face of the law of karma? It is because of this, because truly, an ordinary person does not see the operation of the law of karma at all. No one sees that a person does an evil deed and then has to suffer a painful retribution. Everything just seems disconnected. No one sees a person doing a good deed and then receiving good fortune and happiness in their life. They just don't see it. What they see is that in one place there is a person doing evil, in another place there is a person doing good. They see in yet another place a person who is prosperous and a person who is suffering. These are all situations with no connection, no relation to each other at all. And we see that everything is as if it were random. That for people, if their nature is evil, they just do evil. If their nature is good, they just do good. As for who is lucky, they get good fortune, they get success. Who is unlucky, they meet with failure, they meet with suffering. It's as if everything has absolutely no connection to each other at all. Then the Buddha or some of the saints said that there is a law of karma. That is, whichever person does evil, harms others and makes them suffer, that person will suffer. Whichever person brings joy to others will receive peace and happiness. It is the saints who connect these situations, stating that they have a cause. It is not for nothing. The majority of us believe. There are some people who refuse to believe because they do not want there to be fairness. They don't want fairness because they have always bullied and oppressed others, always done evil. Now, to hear that they will have to face retribution, they are afraid. And so they do not want to believe in the law of karma. But the majority of people who have a conscience all want the law of karma to be true so that there is fairness for everyone to live by. The majority of us want to believe. It is only the evil people who refuse to believe. But believing is one thing. Some people also raise this issue, if only I had known about karma. In the past, I would not have done those wrongful things. Now, coming to the path, listening to the venerable teachers preach about the law of karma, whatever the cause, so is the effect, I believe. I am afraid I want to change. But the things I have already done in the past, they cannot be taken back. I regret it so much. If only I had been able to see the law of karma from the beginning, or since I was a child. Or if everyone born into this world already knew that this law of karma is operating, then no one would do evil. Dear Buddhist followers, have you ever asked that question? Have you asked it of yourself? There are people who have lamented in just this way, is that not right? If only when I was newly born into this world, everyone already knew about cause and effect. Knew why that person is suffering, where they suffer from, that in the past they had done something wrong. Or if we saw someone prosperous and wealthy, we would know right away that in the past they had done something good. If we could see the cause and effect this clearly, we would have cultivated and corrected ourselves, not waiting for today. Not waiting for the police to arrest us, or waiting to suffer the karmic retribution, or waiting for the venerable teachers to laboriously teach us before we would begin to practice, before we would know and believe in karma. Why is the law of karma hidden from us? Why is the law of karma hidden? To let sentient beings be deluded, not knowing which way to go, sinking into transgression and then suffering so much bitterness and misery? Have we ever posed the problem in this way? Yes, we have, haven't we? We have posed the problem. If only you let me know about karma, I would practice immediately. But why is the law of karma hidden, not letting anyone know, so that people just remain in delusion and error, on and on? This is the issue we raise. And sometimes we blame the gods and saints. For example, there was a poor husband and wife. They married and clung to each other to go and find work. They went to a distant province to work, and the wife became pregnant. At that time, they both should have been working to rent a house, but the wife was pregnant and could no longer work. She had to stay home, her health was poor. The husband went to work alone. But the husband working alone was not enough to both pay the rent and to live to eat. So they were always short. Then the landlord threw them out, kicked them out of the house. They cried out to heaven and complained to the earth, calling to heaven, calling to Buddha for help. I don't know what religion they were, but in short, they called out to the gods of their religion. If they were Christian, they called to Christ. If Buddhist, they called to Buddha. I don't know. They picked up their bags and walked, their tears falling like rain. They walked away, and in that scene, this story was written by an American author. About a time when America was in its early days, when the roads were long and deserted. The husband supported his wife as they walked, supported his wife as they walked. And as they walked, the wife's fever gradually rose, until, on a deserted stretch of road, the wife stopped breathing and died. The The story, as it was written, stops right there. At the point where the husband kneels down, wailing to the sky god. My God! His wife is lying there dead, their child still in her womb, in the middle of the road. In the middle of nowhere, without a single house in sight. The story stops right there. It says no more. Whoever wants to think about what happens next can think. The story has no happy ending. No happy ending. And why? Because that kind of thing still happens in this world. Is that real in this world? It is still real. In life, there are such shattered lives, such painful lives. And in those moments, people cry out to heaven, cry out to Buddha, cry out to the gods and saints, but receive no help whatsoever. It seems the divine turns its back. The divine turns its back. And we pose the question, if the gods of the religions are truly sacred, why have they allowed sentient beings to suffer to the extreme like that, to be unhappy to the extreme like that? Because if you put yourself in that situation, how would you be? If you put yourself in the situation of a husband who loves his wife, loves his child, and his wife gets sick, gets kicked out of the house, and the couple collapses and dies in the middle of the road like that, what would you think? At that moment, you would probably want to die along with them, right? Better to die from a broken heart and follow them. Where are the gods and saints when sentient beings have cried out so mournfully? We see that at that moment, the divine seems indifferent. Indifferent to the suffering of human beings. Why? Dear Buddhist followers, do you believe in gods and saints? But why don't the gods save them? Why are they so indifferent, so cold? Before the ultimate suffering of sentient beings like that. But, dear Buddhist followers, have you heard of the incidents where a person in distress, in suffering, chants the name of Kwan Am Avalokiteshvara and is saved? Have you? Yes, you have. So why are there people the gods have saved? Because it's clear, it means they were facing certain death. But they chanted the Buddha's name and it passed immediately. It's clear that there was help. But there are cases like that couple, who were kicked out of their house and then died in the middle of the road where the gods provided no help at all. Why? Why? So here, we must understand. If we only believe that there are gods who rule the world, we will never be able to explain these cases. These cases where the gods seem cold, powerless, or even cruel in the face of human suffering. It is only when we understand that there is a law of karma that we can understand why. Why it is. For example, we are standing outside a fence, looking into a house. We see a father holding a rattan cane, his face flushed red. He kicks his son, pins him down with his foot, forces him to lie face down, and when the boy resists, he keeps one foot on his back while his other hand wields the cane, whipping him mercilessly. What do we think then? At that moment, what do we think? Usually, at that moment, we would cry out, right? We'd find a way to save the little boy. He's beating that boy to death. That is because we see only the effect. But there is another person also standing and watching the father beat the boy. But they stand and watch silently, doing nothing. Not calling out, not shouting, not intervening, not stopping him. Why is that? It is because half an hour earlier, that second person who stands there so indifferently, they saw this very boy take a knife and stab his friend to snatch his money bag. The friend didn't die, but it was reported. And the boy confessed. His father had always taught him properly, never taught him to rob people like this, and today he has shamed the family. So the father beats him with all his fury. Because for so many years since he was small he had taught him, and now today he has become a robber at such a young age, already carrying a knife to stab someone to steal a money bag. He is so angry. So you have two people watching. One person did not see what the boy did half an hour before. So they cry out, "My God, how can you be so cruel? You're beating your son. You'll beat him to death." But the other person who witnessed what happened half an hour before, that this boy acted like a demon, they stand and watch calmly as the father disciplines him. Is this not so? You acknowledge these two different states of mind, don't you? It's true, isn't it? The gods and saints are the same. Now, seeing the couple leading each other from the house after being evicted, later collapsing and dying on a deserted road without a soul to help. The divine is perfectly calm, because what do they know? They know that, in truth, in a previous life, this very couple was also like that. They had cruelly kicked a sick and suffering person out of their home because they didn't have enough rent money. And they didn't just do it once. They did it many times. So today, the retribution must come, and it has become a fixed karma. So they watch calmly and let them pay their karmic debt. As for us, We do not see the past cause and effect. We feel pity. We say how unfair life is, how cruel the landlord is, how cold the divine is. It is because we do not see the cause and effect that we blame heaven and earth. But the divine beings, they know the cause and effect. And so they know which cases should be saved, and which should not, and which cases should be saved. For example, there is a person who, on a rainy and windy night, is rowing a small boat on a river. Then they are swept up by the storm. Their boat capsizes and they are adrift. They chant the Buddha's name. Suddenly, from the bottom of the river, a bundle of bamboo floats up, pushes them up, and they are washed ashore, saved. So why is this person saved? Because this person had the karma to drown, but they had also created merit. So it is balanced out. Let them live to continue to practice. So, having been allowed to live to continue their practice, this person must be poor. Because the merit was all used up to save their life, they don't get to be rich anymore. Dear followers, in the future, if you do any meritorious deeds, you might not get rich. Because when they chanted the Buddha's name, they already used that reward. The divine beings above arrange all of these things. But we do not know. So this is the hidden face of the law of karma, which causes human morality to be tested to the extreme. We use this phrase, dear Buddhist followers, please listen carefully. It is precisely because karma is hidden that human morality is tested to the extreme. What does that mean? That when karma is hidden, human morality is tested. The meaning is very profound like this. Now, one day we are passing through a rural area and we see, inside a dilapidated thatched hut, the sound of crying. We stop our vehicle, we go inside and ask what is wrong. And we see the family is weeping because the old father is sick and near death, and looking around the house, there is nothing left that can be sold. So we help them. In doing so, do we have morality? Do we? It depends on what we are thinking in our head at the moment we help. If we are a person who knows about karma, what do we think in our head at that moment? We think, oh well, helping brings merit. Maybe I'll buy a lottery ticket and win later. Is that right? We know karma. So we think, here's $1 million, go buy medicine, okay? And here, buy rice to eat. Okay. At that moment, we feel assured that we have gained a little merit. In that case, do we have morality? We do not have morality. Clearly, we have the action of morality. We have a belief in karma, but in essence, we are not moral. Right? It's precisely because we thought of whom when we did the good deed? We thought of ourselves. We thought of the karmic reward that we ourselves would enjoy. So, you see a person with moral behavior, with an understanding of Buddhist teachings, with a belief in karma, but in essence, that person has no morality, because the act of doing good still has a root of selfishness. There is also another person like that. They hear the crying from the thatched hut, they stop by to visit. They see the people are poor and suffering. They also take out $1 million and help. But this person does not know about karma. Does this person have morality? Do they? Be careful, they just might. Why? Because this person has the moral behavior of helping others, but they don't know karma, they don't know Buddhist teachings, so do they think about the reward? No. Here we see a paradox. Does such a person have morality? Yes, they do. Because when they help people, they are not thinking about the reward, so they are more moral than the person who believes in karma. Is that not right? Isn't that bitter? So, does this mean that we Buddhist followers who have believed in karma all this time have no morality? Is that right? We can draw a shocking conclusion from this. Is it so? This is a truth we must acknowledge. We must acknowledge it. That is the reason why we see the law of karma sometimes hides its face. So that when we help people, it is because we truly love them, not because we are seeking a reward for ourselves. Therefore, the law of karma sometimes does not want us to see that there is a law of karma. Therefore, it must hide its face. Therefore, it is to test human morality. Does this person help people because of morality, or because they love people, or because of the reward for themselves? We see this reasoning and find it strange. We always thought that a person who believes in karma would be more moral. But there are many cases where a person who believes in karma is actually less moral than a person who does not believe in karma. This is a very surprising thing, And this is also the reason why many people who follow Buddhism, yet when they enter the Buddhist environment, we see they are still competitive, still envious, still jealous, still cruel, still taking advantage of and scheming against each other. Is that so? Yes, it is so. Why? Because they happen to know about karma. Because every time they do something good in their minds, they keep thinking about the reward. They think about the reward. So their external behavior is clearly doing something helpful and moral, but deep in their soul, the selfish mind still reigns. Therefore, the longer they exist in the religion, the longer they walk the path, the selfishness just grows bigger and they just become competitive, envious people, not becoming holy people. We are surprised. Sometimes we meet monastics who are also like that. Is that so? Yes, it is so. We don't know why. Why has this person become a monastic? Renounced all worldly things, but their manifestations still seem to be envious, competitive, jealous. Why is that? It's precisely because of this point. The toxic point of the law of karma. Because they happen to know. If you know it through and through, no karma like a bodhisattva, then you are not affected. But if you know it in the way of an ordinary person, a halfway knowledge, knowing that you reap what you sow, plant a melon, get a melon, plant a bean, get a bean, we just understand it at that basic level. Then whatever we do, we always calculate the reward we will get. Inadvertently, we nurture our own selfishness. That is why the law of karma keeps itself hidden from sentient beings. Because if it is taught to sentient beings, there must be someone who teaches it through and through. Otherwise, it's better to hide it completely. Because if you just let sentient beings know about karma but in a half-baked way, sentient beings can easily grow their selfish minds without realizing it. It's clear that they know the path. But they don't realize that their inner morality is actually regressing, not progressing. But now let's reconsider the issue. But if now no one is told about karma at all, what will happen? That person will either be very evil because they know there is no retribution, they can do whatever they want. Or, if that person is moral, they will be truly moral, helping anyone out of genuine love for them, not thinking of their own reward. We wouldn't know there is a reward. So if no one is told about karma at all, it will result in one of two situations. Either that person will become an evil person with nothing to restrain them, or if that person is good, they will be extremely holy because they do everything very selflessly, loving people with a true heart, not thinking of their own reward. Is that not so? And so here, let's take a vote. Should we let everyone know about karma, or should we hide karma completely? Should we let them know or hide it? No? Are you sure? If we are to know, we must know it through and through. To avoid what? To avoid that when we do meritorious deeds, our minds are always thinking about the reward. We must know it through and through. Therefore, if all of us here advocate that everyone must be told about karma, then we ourselves have a responsibility to the world. This means we ourselves must understand karma through and through. And when we teach karma to others, we must also teach it through and through. Do you, dear Buddhist followers, teach karma to your families, to your friends? I guarantee you do, right? I guarantee you do. Because there is no greater merit than making others understand karma. But don't let them understand it halfway. Whoever you teach karma to, you must teach it through and through. So we agree with each other. Because what is called knowing karma through and through is knowing it with the mind of a bodhisattva. Knowing with the mind of a bodhisattva. What is a bodhisattva like? For example, like this. For example, suddenly one beautiful day, a bodhisattva appears, standing on Lak Long Kwan Street, in front of Long Hung Pagoda. For example, the bodhisattva appears, sees a poor sentient being standing outside the temple gate. The bodhisattva manifests 1,000,000 to give. But if the bodhisattva manifests 1,000,000, it becomes counterfeit money. How difficult? Because a bodhisattva doesn't manifest money like that. That's why we never just hold out our hand in front of a Buddha statue and say, Buddha, give me 1,000,000. Buddha, give me 1,000,000. And suddenly 1,000,000 appears in our hand. That money is fake money. It's money that was not issued by the state bank. It's fake money, which is a violation of the law. And a bodhisattva never violates the law. So, let's not think about a bodhisattva manifesting 1,000,000 to save that person. Let's think of another way. For example, a bodhisattva sees a poor person. The bodhisattva knows that another person has a kind heart. The bodhisattva then goes and says, there is a poor person here, please go and help. We remember, bodhisattvas often act as intermediaries, as brokers. Bodhisattvas rarely act directly. The bodhisattva calls out to the kind-hearted person, knowing this person has money. And the money in their pocket is real money issued by the state bank. So they say, sir, there is a poor person over there, please give them 1,000,000. The other person is already kind-hearted. And the Bodhisattva's words have power, and they don't even know this person is a Bodhisattva. They go and take out 1,000,000 and give it. When a Bodhisattva performs such an act, the Bodhisattva creates merit for the kind-hearted person, right? The kind-hearted person gets it. And does the Bodhisattva get merit? Yes. Even if you don't directly take money out of your own pocket, but you act as an intermediary, a broker, you encourage, you guide, you point the way, then you also have merit. That merit is usually about 1/10. Remember it like that. The merit is 1/10, usually. So, in that 1/10 of merit, does the Bodhisattva think about the reward? Do they? Speak precisely. Do they? Because if they don't know the reward, they are not a Bodhisattva. A Bodhisattva knows the reward very clearly. But what is different from us is this: a Bodhisattva knows there is a reward. But do they consider that reward to be an interesting, important thing? No. That is where we differ. As for us, we are different from a Bodhisattva in that when we think of the reward, our minds are joyful, happy, desiring that reward. For example, we go to a temple, we build a temple. When we contribute our merit, we contribute to this temple, we build this temple. For example, the long-hung pagoda. We come and offer the teacher 100 bags of cement. We offer the teacher 1,000 bricks. In the future, what reward will we get? What reward will we get? Our houses will be good. How good depends on the amount of money we offered. And it also depends on whether that temple is good or not. Because if that temple, the monks in it don't practice well, then our offering is like offering nothing, there's no merit. But if that temple, the monks in it practice well, then our offering brings very great merit. For example, we offer to a good temple, so in the next life we get a good house. And that person, they offered so much, so in the next life they get villas, great mansions, because of their merit. So when we offer to a temple, when we think in our heads, in some future life, my house will be a mansion, a villa, do we like it? We like it. This is where we are ordinary beings. As for a Bodhisattva, for example, a Bodhisattva also comes to offer to a temple. The Bodhisattva also knows that in the future, they will also have but do they like it? They don't like it. The difference is just that. The difference is just that. The difference is in not considering the reward important, not caring about the reward. That is to become a Bodhisattva. As for the person who, when doing a good deed, planting a wholesome seed, cares too much about the reward, that person is an ordinary being. The difference is just that tiny bit. Now, do we want to be a Bodhisattva or an ordinary being? A Bodhisattva or an ordinary being? Sowing a cause, both get the same result. Offering to build a temple, in the future you get a big house. Giving rice and money, building roads and bridges, in the future you will be rich. The reward is the same. But one is a Bodhisattva. One is an ordinary being, simply because one really likes the reward, really cares about the reward, while the other doesn't care, doesn't consider it important. Although they know the reward must still come to them, that person becomes a Bodhisattva. Now, do we become a Bodhisattva or an ordinary being? Want to be a Bodhisattva or an ordinary being? Bodhisattva? Really? What percentage? I'm doubtful. We speak so boldly. Why is that? Because in the future, when we take this principle of cause and effect and talk to our friends, we talk to our families, we must also talk about this point. Talk about the point of a Bodhisattva versus an ordinary being understanding cause and effect. We must understand it like that. Then in the future, when we do countless good deeds, our hearts will be truly moral, truly moral. So we don't lose our morality because we know cause and effect. Like the halfway knowing person from before. Is that not so? That's how it is. We agree with each other, right? That's the reason why the law of karma keeps its face hidden. But in reality, does the law of karma hide its face? No. The law of karma lays out everything. It's just that we can't read it. The law of karma is laid out right in front of us. It's just like a person who can't read. Now someone says, now here's how to use this machine. Here is the catalog, the instruction manual. This person says, I don't see any instructions. It's like that. This person. Why? They can't read, right? Because they can't read, they just hold up the catalog and see no instructions for themselves in it. But what about the person who can read? They know clearly from this catalog how this machine must be used. The law of karma is the same. It's all laid out. It's all laid out in this life. That person, they read, They can read all the cause and effect in life, in people, in each individual, and in the greater society as a whole. They can read it all. Nothing is hidden. For example, our physiognomy is also our cause and effect manifesting. There are people who want to change their features, which is to want to change their cause and effect. But the truth is, no matter what you change, it still remains the same. Now let's talk normally. First of all, cause and effect manifest in our appearance, our features. How our features are is how our cause is. How our effect is. For example, a person whose arms are too short, what cause do you think, dear followers? Short arms. The law of cause and effect says it all, it's just that we can't read it. Now let's try to read an example. Our normal arms are this long. Some people's are only half as long. Why? What do you think? Why? Because in a past life, they didn't try to work. Didn't try to reach out their hands to work, right? And if a person doesn't try to reach out their hands to work, do they have merit? So in this life, are they rich or poor? Poor, right? The cause is like that and the effect is like that. In physiognomy, it says this: if a person, when standing, has hands that are longer than their knees, that person will be very rich. My hands are not longer than my knees, but some people's are, like Liu Bang or Abraham Lincoln of America. That is, that person is very illustrious. If you stand straight and your hands are longer than your knees, what does that mean about your past life? That hand was what? It just kept trying to work, trying to do many things. So now it manifests the cause as long arms. Because whatever needed doing, they stuck their hand in and did it. So in this life, they receive the merit of being illustrious. Right? Can you read it now? That's just one sentence, one word, and many other things. For example, looking at a pair of eyes. You look at a pair of eyes and see a fierce person. So what was the cause in their past life? Fierce, evil, angry, or prone to anger, right? And now it is imprinted in their eyes. So what is this person's retribution? They will encounter accidents. So when we look at an ordinary person and see their eyes are fierce, we know right away that this person's life will be difficult. They will have many accidents. The cause and effect might be somewhere else, but it's like that. Or we look at a person whose mouth is very ugly. So in a past life, this person used their mouth how? Cursing, speaking wrongly. Right? Something like that. So with that cause, in this life, what happens? It depends on the extent to which that person used their mouth. If it was just to diminish others' reputation, they will just be scolded in return. But if they kept using their mouth to slander and harm people in the future, their life will be tragic. They will be poor, have no food to eat, no clothes to wear. So if you see someone with a beautiful mouth, you can say right away, "Miss, you have a gift from heaven, you will never be hungry." Because you know right away. If a person has a beautiful mouth in a past life, they always spoke good things. Always spoke good things for everyone. So in this life, they will have the merit. And if a person has merit, they have fortune, they have food to eat, they have savings. So when I tell fortunes, it's never wrong. And I'm an expert at telling fortunes that way. Someone comes to see me and says, "Teacher, read my fortune." I don't read fortunes. I say right away, you will be successful. But your mouth is too small, so in your heart, you have a little narrow-mindedness. So you must try to open your heart to truly love people, to help anyone, help them with all your heart, then in the future, you will overcome the limits of success. Be more successful than you expect. We see people who say, why do they say a man with a wide mouth is prosperous? A wide mouth means that person's mind in a past life was good. What about a woman with a wide mouth? A woman with a wide mouth is still prosperous. According to cause and effect, I'm telling the truth. A woman with a wide mouth is still prosperous. Because according to cause and effect, a wide mouth means the person was generous in a past life. So don't think a wide mouth brings ruin to the family and then just smile demurely. That's not it. Smile freely. That's talking about cause and effect. Now let's talk about the house we live in. For example, a person who is sensitive, like a feng shui master. A feng shui master is also a type of person who reads cause and effect. He walks into your house, he sees the door is placed like this, the path is like this, the rooms. The doors and windows are like this. He knows what the cause and effect of the house will be. Whether this family is harmonious or not, whether their business will prosper or not, whether everything will be favorable or not. He can see it immediately. For example, the path is winding, it's difficult, it gets snagged. He knows that this family's business has problems. But if he enters the house from the path outside the gate to the door, into the house, sitting on a chair, Walking to the kitchen, it's comfortable, it's not obstructed. The layout is very reasonable. He knows right away that this family's business is smooth. That's what feng shui is. It's not difficult, it's not something mysterious. You don't need to shift the stove this way or that way by half a degree or a few degrees, that's not right. It means that everything we see is reasonable for daily life, the family will be favorable. Or you go in and see the house is all partitioned, no room is clearly defined. You know the family is not in harmony with each other. Each person will be their own separate world. But you enter a house and see there is a place where everyone often gathers, meets each other. You know this family loves each other. That's what cause and effect is. Cause and effect is not hidden. Cause and effect is laid out in everything in our lives. But we don't pay attention. There was a disciple who went to practice. He went to someone's house and saw a guava tree in front of the house. A guava tree, and the guava tree suddenly, it bent down, it was under the ground. It didn't grow straight up, but it collapsed and grew up from the ground. The female disciple said, "Teacher, before an old man came to my house and told my father, a house with a kneeling guava tree means someone in the family will go to practice. And it's true, I went to practice. So the guava tree that knelt like that, someone could read it. As for us, we don't know, we can't read it. It's like we are illiterate. But some people can read it. They see that sign and know someone in the house will go to practice. There's a kneeling guava tree. Cause and effect is not hidden. Cause and effect lays out everything. Then it becomes physiognomy or some school of feng shui. That's all. Here we say this. If a person has good features, what will their life be like? Prosperous, lucky. A person with good features is different from a person with a good heart. Okay? A person with good features, their life will have a lot of luck and happiness. A person with a good heart, they will do many, many good deeds. After doing many good deeds, their life will be prosperous. That is, they go through several stages. As for the person with good features, they enjoy it immediately, because the cause and effect is already displayed. The effect is displayed in their features. So that person's life begins to enjoy it right away. As for the person whose features are not yet good, but only has a good heart, they will do many good deeds first. Then the features will begin to manifest. At that time, the karmic reward will begin to manifest later. It's a chain like that. So if a person has good features and a good heart too, what then? Both good features and a good heart, what then? That means that person's life is prosperous and they will also do many, many good deeds. This is the most ideal person, right? We also hope that everyone is like that. Our features are good and our hearts are good. Then our lives are not hard and we always do good deeds. Then what about the person with good features but a bad heart? Good features but a bad heart. What then? Are there such people in the world? Yes, there are. There are people with good features but a very bad heart. Harming this person, harming that person, being arrogant, condescending. That person, their life is prosperous, but they will do many, many bad deeds. And in the future, what then? Their life will become miserable again. That's right. What about the person with bad features but a good heart? Their features are bad. Their heart is good. That is, that person's life is what? Hard. But that person will do many good deeds. And in the future, they will be prosperous. It's like that. What about the person with bad features and a bad heart too? We know where they're heading, right? Because they have no merit from previous lives. So in this life, they have nothing to enjoy. And with a bad heart, they also can't do good deeds for the future. So we don't know where they're heading. They just go down and down. They can even fall into the animal realm. It's very scary. So if we see someone whose features are not good and their heart is also bad, we should try to love them, to guide them, because if no one loves them, guides them to the Buddha's teachings, they could fall into the animal realm in the next life. As for the person, for example, their features are bad but their heart is good, we are not afraid. Gradually, their life will go up. It's clear like that. So the law of karma, although it doesn't say a word, manifests everywhere. It's just that we don't look at it. But why do many people hesitate to talk about the law of karma? For example, if we meet a scientist and talk about the law of karma, that gentleman might believe it in his heart, but he doesn't want to talk about it. Or if we meet a government official, a civil servant, and we talk to the law of karma, that official might also believe it, but they don't want to talk about it either. Why is that? Because as soon as you talk about cause and effect, you are talking about reincarnation. Past lives, future lives. And as soon as you talk about reincarnation, you know right away that a person has a past life, a person has a future life. The issue becomes complicated immediately, right? The view of life, the view of the universe becomes complex, layer upon layer, immediately. It's no longer as simple as plant a melon, plant a bean, get a bean. It's related to what you did in a past life, who you were in a past life, the next life, the life after that. The issue becomes complicated, and cause and effect alone is not yet proven. And now you want to demand proof of reincarnation as well. So everyone is afraid, they just run away. That's why when we talk to government officials, civil servants about the law of karma, they also believe, they smile, but they don't dare to speak. They say it raises complicated issues. Or if we meet a scientist, we talk to them, they smile, they also believe, but they don't dare to speak. They say it brings up reincarnation again. And compared to the views of other religions, it's also different. Because there are religions that don't know about reincarnation, don't know about cause and effect. So suddenly when we talk about reincarnation and cause and effect, it makes other religions also sometimes think. Sometimes they are uncomfortable. That's why people who stand outside of religion are hesitant to talk about it. Because science has not yet been able to prove it. And now, for example, if someone declares they believe in cause and effect, believe in reincarnation, it's like one person against the mafia. So many people don't believe yet. And just one person keeps talking. It's very, very hard. Therefore, people are hesitant to talk about it. But we see this. In fact, there are many religions in the world. Why are there many religions? Because the teachings are different, right? According to the laws of the world as well as the laws of Vietnam, every religion is respected. Because everyone has freedom of belief. It's like that. But in truth, that freedom of belief, that freedom of religion, it is a sign of the powerlessness of science and the government. Not a good thing. We don't know, so we just demand freedom of religion, freedom of belief. But we don't know that it is precisely the powerlessness of science and of the government. Why is it called the powerlessness of science and the government? Because of this. For example, now a religion says that everything in the world is governed by cause and effect. Another says, no, a God governs it. But those two are different. Because those two are different, there must be a right and a wrong. Do you agree? 2 plus 2 is 4. Someone says no, 2 plus 2 is 4.5. Then between those two, there must be a right and a wrong, right? Or both are wrong. For example, I say 2 plus 2 is 3. No, I say 2 plus 2 is 5. Both are wrong. So when there are two different things, there will be two possible answers. First, one is right, one is wrong. Second, both are wrong, right? So now, what is the responsibility of science and the responsibility of the government? To find what for the people, for the masses, for humanity? To find the right or the wrong? To find the right. Science is about finding the right for humanity, not nurturing the wrong. The government is about finding the right for its people to follow, for its people to live by, not nurturing the wrong. But now two religions say opposite things, so there is a right and a wrong. But what about the law? It respects both, protects both. So is the law right yet? Not right. Is science right yet? Not right either. Therefore, we must understand that in our century, we still accept the concept of freedom of belief, freedom of religion, because our civilization is still low. Humanity is still low. So we have to resort to proposing freedom of religion, freedom of belief. But in a few more centuries, when the level of human civilization is higher, then get rid of it. There will be no freedom of belief. Instead, what? The law will compel people to follow only one, the single correct religion. Because if you go wrong, you will live wrong, you will do wrong. Therefore, on the day that the civilization of all nations in the world rises another level, it will be forbidden to believe in nonsense. The law will forbid it immediately. Just like now, there are some nonsensical sects, the state arrests them immediately, right? Because that is a wrong thing. You are spreading the wrong thing, you are making people suffer. When a wrong thing is spread, whoever follows it will suffer and make those around them suffer. Therefore, one day when human civilization is higher, when science is more advanced, when the government is more stable, there will be no more freedom of religion, freedom of belief. At that time, there will be a proper law, you are only allowed to believe in one. The most correct religion. It won't be that every religion is the same as every other religion. That story will be over by that day. Right now, we are still backward. So we have to settle for live and let live. We must understand that it's not really like that. But now, one day, when science has advanced to a higher level, it will be forced to compare all religions with each other to find the one most correct religion for humanity. That day will come. Let's wait and see. That day will come when scientists will put all religions on the scales to see which religion is the most correct for humanity to follow. There will be no more everyone for themselves in spreading their religion. And we will know this. Among the criteria for choosing the most correct religion, which criterion will be the basis? Which criterion will be the basis? Whoever can answer correctly, I will award a flower branch. Which criterion will be the basis? Cause and effect. Exactly. Who said that? Correct. So, one day, when the world brings out all the religions to weigh them to choose the one most correct religion, the fundamental criterion for selection will be the law of cause and effect. Why is that? Because of this. For example, we have heard that in a certain country, a person straps a suicide bomb around their body, right? They go to a crowded place, they press the button, boom. They die and the people around them all die. Why do they do that? Because the cleric who taught them said that by killing many innocent people like that, they are pleasing God. So after they die in that battle, they will go to heaven to live beside God. Because that cleric taught them nonsense. Taught them something not in line with cause and effect. But if the law of cause and effect were taught everywhere, it would say that when one person dies, how many people suffer? How many? Many people around them suffer. In our family, the grief is inconsolable. If it's old age and sickness, death, we see the death coming. According to the natural law, we are less sad. That person is old, sick, gradually withering, waiting. Then dies, we are less sad. Because we knew beforehand, and that is the law. But living together happily, loving each other, relying on each other, working to support each other day and night. And suddenly one person rolls over and dies because they were killed by a bomb blast. The family is extremely devastated. So the death of one person, that person suffers in the realm of the dead. And the whole family of that person suffers, the friends of that person suffer, the agency, the company, the colleagues of that person suffer. One person dies, many people suffer. And a suicide bombing like that, so many people die, so the pain floods everything. So a person who dies in a bombing like that, killing so many people like that, they will receive all the suffering of everyone combined into their life. So in this life and many lives to come, they must endure countless sufferings according to the law of cause and effect. But because that religion does not teach cause and effect, but only believes the cleric's word that taking a bomb to kill innocent people will get you to heaven, they go crazy and do wrong. Therefore, one day when they weigh the religions to choose the most correct one, they will be forced to have the law of cause and effect. And with the law of cause and effect, there will be no more fanatics who kill innocent people, terrorists like that. The people who are terrorists, fanatics like that, it's because they don't know cause and effect. Why would killing people please God? It's those clerics, they're lying. How could that be? But if we base it on cause and effect, we don't need any cleric. We just examine cause and effect ourselves. We bring peace to people, then we can have peace. But if we bring suffering to people, death to people, we will be punished. And if now, people say, not far from here, just in our country of Vietnam, if every citizen could believe in cause and effect, then terrorists would not be able to squeeze in. For example, now someone from abroad comes in, they see a poor person, they say, now I'll give you $10,000, you take this bomb and place it in a crowded place on that holiday, you press a button. You won't die, but I'll give you $10,000. If that poor person doesn't know cause and effect, will they do it? They'll do it right away, because they don't know cause and effect. But luckily, a month before that, they had learned about cause and effect. Just learned it a month ago. Then the other person incites them with $10,000. Do they dare to accept it? No. Because they know that after pressing that button, and many innocent people die, and hundreds, thousands of people around suffer from that death, that suffering will be piled onto their life. They can't bear it. So $10,000 is too small. They don't dare to make the trade. They refuse immediately, and they might even report it to the police. So therefore, we see if in a country, everyone knows cause and effect, then external terrorism and sabotage cannot squeeze in. Now we see like in Thailand, southern Thailand follows Islam. They keep attacking, killing at temples, killing Buddhist followers, beheading Buddhist followers, killing monks. and they believe they are doing something that pleases God. It's only because they don't believe in cause and effect. Therefore, we see that we must take the law of cause and effect and spread it widely. To show people that cause and effect is displayed everywhere, it is not hidden. So that people know how to restrain themselves to contribute good things to this life, not to do wrong things. This is the ideal of a disciple of the Buddha. Of course, as we said from the beginning, when we talk about cause and an effect, we must speak it through and through. That's how it is. And the law of cause and effect is very fair and is displayed everywhere. Recently, a monk from Canada went with some other monks up a mountain to visit. That monk's name is also Vinjiak. He is the abbot of a temple, a monastery in the forest. This monk also practices very, very well. So he invited that monk to speak to the congregation. And he told this story. After he told the story, I was startled. He said he knew a woman, a Canadian, and she was doing a PhD thesis on Korean Buddhism. So she flew from Canada to South Korea. She went to a nunnery to study. After going to that nunnery and studying for a while, she achieved a Dharma position, she grew to love Buddhism, and she became a nun herself. Shaved her head, put on the robes, became a nun. After that, she had some business and had to leave the monastery to go to the city. As soon as she appeared, the people in South Korea came and cursed her, insulted her, chased her away. They said, "Buddhist monastics, get out of this city, go back to the forest to live." She was surprised. She asked her fellow practitioners, the other nuns. The other nuns said, "Venerable sister, since the Protestants have spread their religion all over this country, Buddhism has no place to live. They organize groups of people. Whenever they detect a Buddhist monastic anywhere, they flock there, they curse, they insult, they chase them away, with the aim of eradicating Buddhism at its root, not allowing it to exist or recover in the land of South Korea anymore." What do you think, dear Buddhist followers? And Korean Buddhism is very similar to Vietnamese Buddhism. We see there are religions like that. They are not tolerant of other religions. Once they have gained the upper hand, they eradicate Buddhism immediately. As for our Buddhism, it's the opposite. Our Buddhism does not compete for supremacy. In the old days, it was the same. The Buddhist monastics, but they saw other people following Confucianism and they were still happy and joyful, because they still found the good in Confucianism to respect. For example, that person doesn't believe in Buddha, but that person is still a gentleman with humanity, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and trustworthiness. So our monks still respected them. Then when Catholicism was introduced, they saw, oh, it also has the commandments: you shall not commit adultery, you shall not kill, you shall not steal. It also has good things. So they also tried to respect it. That is, our Buddhism is tolerant of all religions, trying to find the good in them to be tolerant. But are they tolerant of Buddhism? No. During the French colonial period, the French eradicated Buddhism bit by bit until it was completely shattered, nothing left. And now in South Korea, it's the same. When Protestantism has taken over completely, they make it so that Buddhism cannot even raise its head anymore. Only Buddhism can be tolerant of other religions. As for other religions, in their minds, they are all plotting, ambitious, scheming, not tolerant of Buddhism. This is something we must understand. And if we want to avoid this disaster in the future, what must we do? From now on, we must not let that situation happen. Don't let a situation arise where one day those who follow the Buddha have no place to live. The way is, from now on, we must strive to spread the Buddhist teachings. Spread it to whom? First, to those who know nothing about religion. Second, to whom? To the people of our friend religions as well. They already follow another religion. We still find ways to make them love Buddhism. To see that Buddhism is good, practical in their lives. Not to oppose Buddhism and bear the sin. We must tell them the origin, the source, so they understand everything. So if we go to our friends of other religions and we help them understand the Buddhist teachings, we have great merit. Because we are stopping the day when their religion becomes strong and becomes brutal, intolerant. From now on, we have this duty. Do you agree, dear Buddhist followers? Agree. Let's try with me. This is our responsibility for the future. Because if we don't do this, then in 50 years, we will no longer have the opportunity to organize the Buddha's birthday celebration. Because other religions will have taken over everything. And our country will become what kind of country? A very strange country, no longer our country. Therefore, from today, each person must make an effort. In 1 year, how many people can we spread the Dharma to? 10 people. Okay. Let's make it so that 10 people take refuge at the temple. And especially if people from other religions take refuge, that's even more excellent. It's still possible, it's nothing. So if we make an effort from now on, in 50 years, the Buddha's birthday celebration will be many times larger than it is now. Okay? Let's all promise each other this. On this Buddha's birthday, I wish you, dear Buddhist followers, in this Buddha's birthday season, that everyone may have peace and joy, happiness, that our families may have good fortune, prosperity, success, that we may do many meritorious deeds, that our practice may progress. And let's promise the Buddha that we will see the Buddha's teachings spread to every corner of this world so that 10 years from now, we will together hold a Buddha's birthday celebration many times larger than now. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.